Hey boys and girls, welcome back to another video. Today we got Champs Crypto in the house. It's one of my good friends on trading crypto and has been doing real good and also got his own channel, his own TA, and is going to share us today his outlook on Bitcoin, how we're going to trade this October, and with the NFP delayed, government shutdown, all those fuss. So Ahmed, bro, welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming
Thank you,
today.
Freddie. Thanks for having me. Yes, I'm very excited because Bitcoin has been pumping like crazy, and I think everyone in on reviewers wants to make the most out of this move. So hopefully, in this video, we can share some like trades, maybe where to long exactly. If someone has missed this move, where exactly shall we long? So shall I start sharing my screen?
Yes, bro. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, so as you can see, Freddie, we literally had seen a crazy move. Everybody was actually bearish and was super scared once Bitcoin has tried or had tried. I think you've spoken the most about the point of control where we actually retraced from where Bitcoin like was seeing this move. As you can see, Bitcoin had this move, and then we're pumping. We were looking like greatly into maybe a possible all-time high move. However, actually Bitcoin just hit the point of control. You spoke about it very much. You warned people about it, and then we actually saw the Bitcoin price retrace much harder. However, the second time we actually reclaimed the value area low, and this is what I've been saying or telling my viewers. I flipped. Although I've actually gotten a bit lucky to along the bottom, as you can see, I'm still holding. I think you and I both trade on weeks. So as you can see, I'm still holding into my long, which is as actually taken from the exact low. As you can see, if I can maybe I can
Order
switch
filled.
the website story because I want them to see the weeks screen. I think it's better.
Yeah.
Stop presenting. Maybe I can share the whole
Order
screen
filled.
window. Yeah, this one. Okay. No. But
Order submitted.
you're okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think so I think you and I both trade on weeks, as you can see. So we've got this long trade, literally bottom, which was a bit lucky. However, the most like obvious move that we've seen actually us reclaiming, as you can see, the value area low within this whole range, which we've been in inside for 3 months exactly. So we actually saw a nice reclaim of the value area low. And as you know, the target of this rotational move of us reclaiming the value area low has been and had been the $120,000. So I'm super happy about this whole move. However, I think everybody knows or wants now to know what will Bitcoin do next. As you can see, because right now, technically, we have gotten the move. We've got the 112 to 120 move. I actually took 50% profit from my long. However, I hadn't stopped or I haven't yet taken the most out of my long. I still want to keep holding it for much higher. I'm going to mention the most important support line and also the most important resistance line. The first resistance would stop us from making all-time high, and if broken, obviously we might see a new all-time high on Bitcoin. And the support is very critical because we either see an important bounce or we lose it, and then maybe think about closing my long in some profits, as you can see. So technically, right now, what makes me actually super happy and ecstatic about Bitcoin, as I told you, Freddie, that we actually saw the retrace because of the point of control, because of this area. Right now, as you know, we are currently above that said area. So right now, we can actually clearly see the zone as the best and the most important support line. As you can see, we basically had this area where we actually saw it big on your trace and lose it. As you can see, we lost it, I think, in the beginning of August, mid-August, and then we had failure to break it twice, as you can see at the end of August and also in during mid-September, where we saw this huge retrace to the downside. So technically, right now, what I'm looking at is I don't care much about the $20,000 target, even though it's very important. However, I'm viewing the 117.6 to 118.9 as the most important critical support zone to be holding. So right now, based on this idea, based on this fact, I'm currently actually thinking of maybe getting into a long if Bitcoin or if Bitcoin is kind enough to give us this opportunity of us retracing back, maybe retesting the previous resistance as support, and then maybe getting a nice trade. So if I go to the lower time frame, as you can see, we still got this area of huge volume importance as support. However, I normally like once I make a clearer plan on the higher time frame, I'd prefer to go on the lower time frame and look for a pinpoint entry for my long. So technically, what I'm looking at right now is the point of control, which is right now sitting at 117.6. However, as we discussed, it's not a literal line. It's basically an area of $1,000 from 118.8 to 117.6. However, we also got these lows, as you can see, untaken lows of maybe some buy side liquidity, as you can see, of Bitcoin maybe hitting the anchors view up also, which has or actually makes the uptrend that was made or put on Bitcoin since we had broken out of 112.5. So
Order
as we have
filled.
discussed, the breakout of 112.5 was the reason for the Bitcoin move to 120. So based on this idea, if we keep hold of this anchored view up, we can clearly see that we are still in this intact move. So based on this idea, if we are lucky enough to maybe long Bitcoin again, if we get this drop right now, losing 120 after reaching the value area high, maybe you can wait for the anchored view up, maybe fake out 118 as a full range number, and then maybe reclaiming 118 for a nice long and on the lower time frame. So this is basically what I'm looking at. I actually got a hedge short. I opened a hedge short, as you can see, Freddy, that still actually in some losses. As you can see, $11 in some loss. However, I just wanted to take it as protection, as a hedge to my current long. So I'm deciding not to close my full long and rather take a small short. If it hits my stop loss, which is right now sitting at the highs, then that would be okay, because I'm actually expecting a holding 120 to result in a great pump to 123. So right now we are above 120, still actually fighting against it. By the time Freddy posts this, it's probably be either way above 120 or way down from $120,000. So technically, what I'm looking at is how Bitcoin actually plays or fights this important fight of $120,000. Holding 120 is actually will result in my stop loss being hit for my short, and then for a great target of the daily level at 123,000. However, if we lose the 120, I'm going to wait for a retrace, maybe for a nicer long. However, the most important factor now, don't get scared if Bitcoin gets to 118, 117. Just focus on Bitcoin, not lose the whole point of control that I've mentioned, Freddie.
Thank you for that, bro. Amazing, amazing TA. And
Thank you.
your long entry from the low is very amazing. And I actually wanted to long that during the weekend, but I was very hesitant because I was like, uh, it does look like a bottom the way that it formed. Um,
Uh-huh.
like if you could see here on your charts, yeah. So the way this forms right here, but on my mind, I was like, maybe Bitcoin is going to print a bottom right here, fake out everyone, and then it might go lower. So I didn't long. I was like, I'm gonna wait for Monday. But then when I waited for Monday, I was basically too late. I did long the top though around that 111K, and then I took profits around 113K because my my entry wasn't that great. But I'm still very happy. I was very, I was in profits. Two longs actually also just today. Opened a long around PDEQ, local golden pocket, and we made some money. And what what are your targets for like overall 2025? Do you think how high can Bitcoin go, bro?
Yeah, so technically, because the way I trade is mainly using volume, so whenever we hit an all-time high, I don't have any previous data to base my predictions upon, as you know, Freddie. However, some would maybe use the Fibonacci expansion tool. However, personally, I just look at the full tens of thousands as full numbers. As you can see, 130 would be an obvious level, to be honest, and also maybe possibly getting close to 130, but never actually hitting it would be something that's in my mind. So basically, what I'm looking at right now is just a new all-time high. If reaching that, or if we hit that, I'm going to be looking just a tiny bit below 130. And then if we break 130, I'm going to be watching like you are everybody else, because I have no idea where Bitcoin could be reaching. Because technically, I don't want to be the guy that tells you like at the end of literally 100% move that Bitcoin is gonna 10x randomly for no reason. So I'm bullish. I'm waiting for higher. However, I couldn't actually tell you where it is. But however, I'm just focusing on the all-time high and 130.
Very, very good. We actually have the same targets as well. I think round numbers are very psychological numbers for most traders, retail, and even institutions. I think they probably have already like sell limit orders or buy stops at those areas. So I agree with you on that. Last question before I let you go, bro. Uh,
Shoot.
do you when do you think are we going to have the most awaited altcoin season?
I mean, I'd never be able to base it on like a specific time. However, the thing I'd like maybe to point your viewers to is maybe look at the Ethereum against Bitcoin chart, because as you know, I think the Ethereum against Bitcoin is what drives all altcoins, because Ethereum is the biggest altcoin. So Ethereum performing better than Bitcoin, beating Bitcoin in terms of performance would be the first sign of altcoins moving in the same direction. So what I'm looking at right now, as you can see, I've already that we literally had a huge move, a strength of Ethereum from April to I think the end of August. However, since that, I think for a whole month and a week, we hadn't seen Ethereum or any other altcoin for that matter be able to beat whatever Bitcoin has done. So technically, what I'm waiting for is either Ethereum against Bitcoin, which I can see is a bit bearish right now, to be honest. Either we go lower, we hit the 0.0333 target as a chance of me maybe looking to long Ethereum and some other altcoins, or we see a breakout, a reclaim out of 0.039. So I'm looking for this line to be broken and getting above it, or we actually see a nicer pullback for maybe some altcoin purchase. So right now, I don't base it specifically on a time frame. However, I just look at this line, we either buy here or go above this to buy again.
Very, very nice. I think you're right. I also look at ETH against Bitcoin, ETH against Sol. It's very nice chart, and it basically tells you if ETH is gaining strength, which is very nice when we see that our altcoins will pump. But hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm praying that our coins will actually pump this November, bro, or October. Once they print money,
Yeah.
once the Feds, print money, cut more rates. And then one thing that I heard about yesterday is Trump is gonna give $1,000 to $2,000 worth of stimulus check coming from the
Wow.
tariff money that they're raking in every month. So that is a very, very bullish news for the whole market. Thank you so much, bro, for coming in today. I'm very, very
You're welcome.
I'm very, very happy that we finally done a TA together, and I hope I'll see you next time.